claustrophobia, agoraphobia. It's likely that you would have heard of, or maybe even crossed paths with these common phobias. But I bet you've never heard of the phobia. Well, it's a mouthful, isn't it? Especially for the preschooler plagued by it. The fear of going to school. Now, a quick online search netted hundreds of phobias, all nicely sorted alphabetically. However, the one that really takes the cake for me is arachibutyrophobia, which is the fear of having peanut butter stuck to the roof of one's mouth. Good afternoon, judges and friends. I will be speaking on a topic of fear, something which is prevalent in every person. In fact, isn't it just so human to have fears? Well, we all know what fear is. It is that distressing emotion aroused by impending danger, pain, or harm. While the phobias I rattled off a little while ago may sound downright ludicrous, they are actually very real and haunt the lives of the unfortunate souls afflicted by them. As far back as the Paleolithic era, fear has had its roots as a primeval instinct, spurring prehistoric men to flee from predators, protect themselves, and survive. Today, fear has been recognized to be one of the most basic human emotions built into us for self-preservation, even as the modern man operates in a vastly different landscape and faces an entirely different set of challenges from his predecessors. So we know that fear can be beneficial. Why is it that humans still do not embrace it? Nobel laureate Marie Curie once said that nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Conversely, isn't it true that when man is unable to comprehend something, it can sometimes morph into a paranoia or a fear that clouds our judgment? First, let's take the example of Little Red Riding Hood, who's walking through the jungle late at night. As she gazes upon some gnarled trees, her imagination runs wild. Was that an elusive monster lurking in the shadows, waiting to eat her up? Well, she's never seen one before, yet the prospect of a creature out to devour her seems so real. Why? Simply because the human mind has an amazing capacity to twist things into what it wants to believe. A child's immaturity can lend itself to a host of misconceptions, which she then gives a solid form and an identity as a monster. To her, her fear is totally rational and hence real, although we know otherwise. The logical conclusion to this is that we can overcome fears caused by imperfect knowledge. A logical mind and insights are tools that we have at our disposal to dispel such fears. But how about irrational fears then? You see, I have a neighbor who is inordinately frightened of cats. Every day, she would rather take a long and circuitous route home from work than take a shorter, sheltered route just because the latter has a few stray cats roaming about there. Now, she knows that these cats will not cause her any pain or harm in any way, yet she still seems to harbor an inexplicable fear towards them. Now, this baseless worry is known as an irrational fear. While many will be quick to dismiss those with irrational fears as merely being silly, I have observed that those with irrational fears tend to be more empathetic towards others, possibly due to their own limitations. Well, the good news is that people with irrational fears need not forever remain entrapped in their own worries, because there are ways, such as desensitization, for example, to help them overcome their fears. So now we know that fears can be both rational and irrational, and they can both be overcome. I think what's most important is that we do not run away from situations or things that we fear, because this does not help us overcome it. In fact, avoidance only reinforces fear. Instead, when one finds the courage to take the first step out of his comfort zone, half the battle is won. So, in conclusion, fear is a double-edged sword. It protects us, makes us more empathetic towards others, and hence a better people. On the flip side, it can interfere with our daily living and in the extremes, paralyze us. Recognizing this, we can and should make the most of the advantage of fear, because this is what will help us the most. To end off, in the words of Nelson Mandela, "The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Isn't it so true that to fear is human, to overcome it, divine? Thank you.